Hey gang, Spada here, and today we are taking a look at one of the all-time worst figures. This is Energon Trigger Happy. This is a piece of garbage. This is one of the worst figures I have ever owned. I mean, this thing makes Armada Prime look like a masterpiece. This thing makes Armada Hotshot look like a must-own figure. This thing is garbage. The only time you ever saw this repainted was a BotCon exclusive as Air Racer. Maybe they fixed all the issues with this mold, but there are a dozen or so issues. There are tons of issues with this mold. Not least of which being the fact that you shake it and things just start falling apart. Nothing pegs in solidly on this guy. He has an attack mode which is supposedly just that or something. I'm not real sure because the directions on my directions, they show an attack mode, but it's not this figure. So I don't know what to tell you. He has typical landing gear, but the landing gear doesn't even fold up smoothly back here. It does fold up nicely over here, though. Transformation for this thing is rough, but we'll get into it in a second. This is supposed to be an homage to the original G1 Target Master, but they failed miserably, other than the fact that, yes, it's a twin-hull jet. Good to go there. So, transformation. Where to start? Alright, we'll start with the legs. First, we're going to come in here and fold these just down a little bit, and that will cause, when I do that, the pressure causes everything to start sagging. So, I'm putting no pressure on this. I'm barely pushing. Just the weight of the old figure is causing it to fall apart in my hands. So, grab this part, open it up, it uncovers the hands, and you fold it down and just leave it off to the side like this. The same thing over here. Then you fold the nose cone down to form the feet. Okay, fine. Take the green parts, and I like to fold them up like this. And I completely had that all off camera, sorry. We're going to, as soon as we split this apart, you'll start seeing just how floppy this figure is. Pop these open, fold them up, and then fold these wings up. Okay, now I am doing this very slowly just so I can hold this thing together. Next, we're going to come around to the back, and I'm going to open up the back first so we can deploy the shoulder missile. Shoulder missile like that. It rotates up. We'll bring the head out and plug it into the door. Close the door. Push it past the missile, and there's the head. For the legs, we're going to swing this section out. We'll do the same thing. See, it just flops around. And we'll actually slide them both into this section here. You have to kind of fold it, finagle it, pray to God that it stays in place. There, okay. Combine those two, and then fold up the legs into a area that tabs into place. Okay. This gets a little bit crazy right here. We're going to unpeg it, and actually unpeg it, rotate it up like this, turn this whole section, or this whole panel around, peg it back into place on the reverse side, bring the arm down, and the arm is supposed to peg into place, but this peg hole is too shallow for this peg, and it happens on both arms. So it's just going to kind of just sit there, but just the littlest amount of force will pop it right out of place. And then fold this up. Also, the landing gear gets in the way, always. You can't move the arm back farther than that unless you open up the landing gear, fold it all the way back, which you can't do. It just gets in the way constantly. I'll show you it again on this arm. Pop it off the panel Like so, fold it forward and then move it out like that. Take the arm section and unpeg it, and flip it completely over, and then peg it back into place. As soon as you do that, as soon as you push it in, it's going to push the arm out of its peg. So, there, just gotta get it. Just gotta get it to the point where I can at least get it to stand. Now this figure is a travesty among engine... I don't want to call it a travesty, that's not fair. I just hate this thing. The face is... well, I'm not sure what it is. It's supposed to be asymmetrical. It's kind of like they looked at Two-Face from Batman and thought it'd make a great villain. He's got a missile. It does fire. I'm not going to bother firing it. So, as you can see, the transformation is very complex, and things just constantly get in the way. What about the figure once it's in robot mode? It still doesn't hold together all that well. He has some decent posability, 90 degrees on the legs, plenty of room because of the ball joint. A little bit of flexibility here in the foot, not much. Arms, well, things are constantly getting in the way. Things are constantly moving. These panels that are supposed to be wings don't really do anything. They just kind of get in the way all the time, depending on where you put them. I normally would put them straight down, but you can't because of these giant elbow thrusters. The landing gear gets in the way. The VTOL engine wing gets in the way. His arms don't stay on. I mean, they don't even plug in all that well, and when they do, they just pop right out with the smallest bit of force. The cannon on his back, there's no real good way to store it. Posability, he just looks like a mess. I mean, he is just a mess. This figure is not a good figure. The only thing I could think of that would be good for him would be parts. Maybe Jin Satome could get the hold of this guy and fix him up, or maybe maybe Frenzy Rumble could do it. Hell, I'd send it to him if he could make this figure not suck. But yeah, this is not a pleasant figure. This is not a figure that. Oh yeah, and he's top heavy too. I forgot to mention that. Not a good figure. Not a good figure at all. You might like it, but this figure, I've seen 4 or 5 people who own this figure, all the same issues, and they got them all over the country, all different places over the country, and it's just a crappy, crappy figure. So if you see it at a flea market for $1, pass. Unless you want some of the stuff for kit bashing, just avoid this one at all costs, because it's kind of a piece of crap.